Hey, everybody. Good day to you. Here we are in January, halfway through, just about halfway through January. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope your year is off to a good start. Mine has been very slow, just want to say. I started the year with COVID. Ta-da. But it was very short-lived, and I am much, much better and feeling strong. Not like the first time I got COVID, where it lasted a couple weeks. So I'm actually doing great. And I do appreciate, really, really appreciate those of you who reached out to me and just checked in on me. In particular, Stephen George, thank you so much. Just your kindness and generosity is just so lovely. So thank you very much. I'm doing well, and I felt very loved and very cared. I hope you all are doing well and having a good start to the year. We got things to talk about. Number one, I want to talk about a couple of workshops coming up very quickly. The first one I want to bring to you is Jeff Howell's, and it is for beginners. Before I get started on all of that, let me know that you're here. So I know I'm talking to folks, and I know that my mic and camera are working, and that you can see and hear me. That's always helpful. So, uh, so Jeff Howell has a workshop coming up. I think it's either the very last Saturday in January it begins, or the first Saturday in February. I'm not sure which one. But I have posted information about his class in the feed in this group. And I will repost it so you can see it and it's fresh in the feed. But Jeff Howell is offering a class for beginners, and there's just nobody better to uh, to learn about the business than from Jeff Howell. He's been in the business a very long time. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was an agent for a while. I think that's true. And then he went on to casting, which is where I met him years and years ago, 30 some years ago, casting at Waves Studio at Burt Burtis and Company. And just a fantastic casting director, a man with a great ear, and he has heard, you know, he's just great at what he does, and he has a lot of a big knowledge base, right? So if you want to learn the nuts and bolts about voiceover, he's your guy. I will repost that for you in the feed. The second workshop is my own, coming up, starting a week from Saturday. It's my signature workshop, Do Less, Be Better. And it's all about brand imaging TV commercials, which is a very sort of specialized subset of commercials, commercial advertising. I've got some spaces left for participants, and I also have plenty of space for auditors. For those of you who are beginners and don't want to do Jeff Howell's class, and you want to get a window into this particular type of read, taking an auditing space is a really great idea. We learn so much from watching other people. Really, really important. I'm a big fan of workshops, whether you observe or whether you participate. We learn so much. I would even venture to say, I don't know, I think we learn most when we both participate and observe. And that's why I love workshops, because you get both. So the participant spots are for intermediate to advanced to working pro. And really, what I mean by that is if you are consistently auditioning, you've got home gear, you kind of know what you're doing, if you will, sort of generally speaking, in the realm of voiceover. And this is then a very specific and targeted approach to commercials. And it's just a really good tool to have in your voiceover tool belt. So that is what I will say about that. It's coming up. We start Saturday, the 21st of January. We go the 28th, and we go the 4th of February. And each class is 3.5 hours. So you get good time to work and good time to observe. So I hope, if you're thinking about it, if you're sitting on the fence, go ahead and jump in. I am you know, you're safe with me as a director, and a teacher. I my primary desire is to encourage, right? That's my whole thing. You don't need to be wary or be afraid. I'm not scary, I promise. Um, it's always good to be a little bit afraid, right? It keeps us on our toes, but not in that sort of, oh, I'm not good enough kind of way. Because come on, let's start the new year off with a really good attitude about ourselves. So I'm hoping that I will see some of you there. So I wanted to get those two things up and out of the way. Um, as you can see, I've moved into a different space to do my recording. I have this beautiful painting on the back on my wall there that I commissioned actually, and a dear friend of mine painted it, and it's taken a long time to get finished and to get it framed and to get it up on the wall. So I'm super pleased, and I love it so. So that's what's going on behind me. Um, Hello, Jeff. Hello, Genevieve, and hello, Shauna. Good morning. Hope you're all well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, let's get to the topic at hand, which is kind of the nuts and bolts of voiceover. I've talked about this before, but it always bears repeating. And so we're going to talk about resources for gear. We're going to talk about what was the other thing? Resources for gear, um, rates, and then connecting, right? So three important things. And for those of you, I know what I know, right? And of course, it's limited to my own experience and the things that I like and the things that have worked for me. So any of you who want to share what you know and what has worked for you, by all means. It's like my greatest hope and desire is that we really share information with each other and be resources to each other. So I don't know everything, I just know what I know. So please feel free to share what has worked for you. So let's talk about rates first. Okay. So there are two sources that are really great for rates. One is SAG-AFTRA, the union. And all you got to do is go to their website and go to the search bar and say, commercial rates, um, promo rates, narration rates, broadcast narration rates, right? And it will bring you to a page, a couple of pages probably, where you can go through and see what the current rates are, and that is, it's a fantastic guide. The other rate guide would be the GVAA rate guide, and you can Google just that, GVAA rate guide. And the great thing about the GVAA rate guide, and I think it's Global Voice Actor Academy, I think that's what that, or association, I'm not sure which, but the great thing about that guide is that it has rates for non-union. And those non-union rates are commensurate with SAG-AFTRA union rates. And sometimes the non-union rates are higher than the union rates. I don't know. I don't get that the union has fallen behind. But I just want to say it's a great rate guide. Um, so I would search out those two things, okay? And then another thing to do, which sort of ties into connecting and being a part of community, is that if you're doing a particular piece of voiceover work, and even after seeing those rates through those resources, if you still have questions, pose the question in a group. If you're like, I'm doing a podcast and I'm just doing the intro and I can't really find anything and I have to give a quote in the next 15 minutes, like take it to your communities that you're involved with, because I can pretty much guarantee you that people in the communities are doing this kind of work, and they have a sense of things, right? So that's also a good resource to just reach out to your community, along with those two, SAG-AFTRA and the GVAA rate guide. And yes, Shauna, rates change all the time. They do. With the union, they change every negotiating period, which is every 3 years. And so rates do shift. So the big overarching thing I want to say to you about rates is there is no beginner rate. Let me say it again. There is no beginner rate. There are rates for the work that you do. And the way that I can illustrate this to you best is to say that the very first radio spot I ever recorded, the very first union radio spot I recorded a dialogue spot, and the gentleman with whom I was recording this was a seasoned voice actor who'd been in it for years longer than I, and we both got the same union rate. My first radio spot, his 100th. Doesn't matter. The rate is the rate. So here's where I get down on my knees and I beg you not to follow the idea that you should practice on Fiverr and take whatever rate they'll give you because it's good practice. Nope. Practice auditioning. Practice auditioning. There are no beginner rates. Okay, I think I've made that clear. All right, studio gear. All right, I am a big fan of George Whittam and Dan Leonard, and you probably know them. If you don't know them, you probably know them if you don't know them. They are known by their podcast and YouTube channel, which is VOBS, Voiceover Body Shop. Both George and Dan are studio nuts. It's what they do. You know, George travels all over the place. I'm sure Dan does too. You know, they travel all over the place to, to help people build their studios and to give people advice about their gear. They, you know, they're full. They have a lot of knowledge, and they provide. I would say, you know, if you're going to hire them, they're not cheap. Okay. If you're going to hire them to work on your studio for you and all that. But, you know, you get what you pay for. And the great thing about it is that through their podcast and their website and their YouTube channel, they provide a lot of free information, valuable free information about microphones and interfaces and computers and software, all of that. And so they are a fantastic resource. And then from there, you know, they have guests on their podcast, and their guests are very often, you know, sound experts and microphone experts and gearheads and all of that. So, so go follow them. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, you know, they're everywhere. So Dan Leonard and George Whittam, Whittam. If you've been in voiceover even a little bit, I'm confident that you know of them. There are also plenty of other people who are really great with gear and know what you need. And it ties again a little bit to the whole thing of the necessity of connecting with people in the industry. Super important, because the more you're connected, the more information you get peripherally that will ultimately end up helping you. I can't tell you the number of times that I'm a part of a particular voiceover group and I see a discussion about blah blah and I go, oh, you know what, I'm going to save this conversation because there's information in there that I'm going to need, right? And I just save the conversation, right? And then I end up with these resources and I can go back to them when I need the thing, you know. So here's the other thing I want to say about gear. Okay. Oh, well, let me also say, there's also a really great website on Facebook called VO Gear Exchange. I think that's what it's called. And that's a really great place to lurk and also to look to find used gear. I think I also look on eBay for used gear. I think that's where I bought my second 416. And I got it at a reduced rate. I think I saved myself $300, right? And most people in voiceover, I swear, they take care of their gear, right? Which is great. So you can kind of overarching, you know, in an overarching way, you can kind of trust people in the voiceover business because they love their gear. And so they take care of their gear. Okay, and so now here's my other point about gear, the overarching thing I want to say. There's no beginner gear. You don't start with a shitty mic. Pardon my French. I think that's the first time I might have used that word on this Facebook group. You don't start with crappy gear and then move up. You don't. You don't. There's less expensive gear and there's more expensive gear. But any gear that you choose ought to be professional quality gear. Case closed. It needs to be professional quality gear. Do people travel with USB mics to turn in auditions? Absolutely, they do. And every once in a while, somebody with a USB mic who's on the road on a cruise ship somewhere, has recorded a spot for, this particular affiliate station or this particular small market commercial or some, radio imaging thing, and they've recorded it on their phone. Okay, that happens every once in a while, but that's not the standard. And so don't take it as the standard. It is not. Okay, it's good in a pinch. Um, you need competitive sound quality. So there's less expensive gear and there's more expensive gear. And again, going back to this, you can find used gear that's great. I have a TLM 103 that I got from a friend for $550. It normally sells for 1,000. So there you go. I got myself $1,000 microphone for half. So look around, be smart, connect yourself to places like um, Theo Gear Exchange. Super helpful. Um, uh, let's see. Yeah, again, I'll say USB mics are okay in a pinch. They're okay for auditions, right? But don't let it become your standard. Don't let it become your standard. Okay? I don't want to like berate people who, use that stuff because every once in a while I understand that it's necessary. Um, but my concern is that that we lower the bar, and I don't want to lower the bar. I want to raise the bar. And want you want the bar raised. You want to be a professional, a working professional in this business. Then meet the bar. Meet the bar and let the bar be high, right? It's just important in everything that we do. Um, let's see. Okay, the third part is connecting to peers in the business. You're here, which is awesome. I'm so glad that you're here. So like great start to be connected to people and to get some perspective, right? Um, and really to find community and be with, right? Super important because we're so isolated in our booths by ourselves, turning in auditions, and we have no idea what we sound like, and we have no idea where we stand. We have no idea of our sense of ourselves, in the business. Like, what's our place, right? Which was the beautiful thing, years ago when we all met up in the lobby of an agency to read for auditions because we saw who else was reading on the same thing, right? And we got to know. It's like you show up at the Voicecaster and it's like, oh, these are the 10 women with whom I am competing. This is the caliber of people. Oh, let me see their names on the list. And you go and you listen to their work and you go, oh, I get it. Okay, I have a sense of where I am, right? It's orientation, right? So being in community is about orienting yourself, right? There's nothing worse than feeling isolated and like you're the only one doing this and you have no idea what's going on and you just don't know where you stand. So that's the importance of connecting. So where do you connect? Well, again, you're here. Awesome. There are other voiceover groups, and I would be, this is where I would ask you, those of you listening and watching to share the groups that you're in that you find beneficial, that you experience as being edifying, that you get good information from. Super helpful. Share that stuff. We all need it, all of us. Um, then I would say go to a conference. Go to two. You don't have to go every year and you don't have to go to every one. But particularly if you are just starting out and trying to make your way and find your bearings and to, make friends even in the business, there's nothing better than going to a conference. I'm a big fan of VO Atlanta. I'm a big fan of One Voice, which happens in Dallas. It's put on by Gravy for the Brain. Um, I love them both. Yes, they're going to be a lot of the same people at these conferences, but that's okay. That's how you get to know them, right? Um, and the great thing about conferences is that you not only do you get some expert advice and you get to listen to people on particular panels talking about subjects that you're interested in, you can get nice introductions to different parts of the world of voiceover that you may not be familiar with. There is a lot of training that goes on um, from agents, casting directors, other voice actors who, like myself, who've been around for a long time, um, and you really kind of get all of that, and then you get to have some fun because there's so many social things going on, right? And um, you know, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of them. And I realize it's difficult for people who are more introverted, like myself. Um, it's hard, but the thing that helps me there is to make sure I get a lot of sleep. If I get a lot of sleep, then I can muster my energy and I can get out the hotel room door and down into the lobby and into these classes, right? You can do a lot at a voiceover conference just by paying for the general admission. You don't have to take workshops and pay extra. You know what I mean? There are lots of freebies, if you will, that are fun and informative. And then again, there's always stuff. There's always social stuff that is organized and kind of fun to be a part of. I think voiceover people are pretty fun. We're a motley crew, and I love it. I love being a part of the voiceover world. So, what else did I want to say about connecting? Um, yeah, the things that you learn by being, at a conference is that you're not alone. You make friends, you get some interesting training, you get perspective. Um, it is because we do our work in isolation. It's just so important that we connect. I know it's an expense, but it's a worthwhile expense. Get yourself into an accountability group. I have a lot of friends right now who are in those, and they are like 3 people, 4 people, probably not more than that. You want, but you want to be able to articulate your goals with your peers, with a few of your peers. Um, and what I would say about that, like I've even been a part of a sort of a small collective, if I can speak Borg, um, with 1 or 2 other people where we exchange auditions. Like if we're feeling like, oh, my auditions aren't really hitting, and we take a big deep breath and we summon our nerve and our courage and our bravery and we share our auditions and we ask our peers for feedback. And um, what you end up with there is you in your own critique of other people's work, you sharpen your ear. It's really good training to give feedback, constructive feedback. And of course, when you're the recipient of the feedback, you know, you get the feedback, right? You get different perspective, and the really important thing about that is that you connect with 1 or 2 people who are your equal in terms of capacity, right? And uh, what do I want to say? And your ability to hear constructive criticism, right? It really does require you to set your feelings aside. I want to say ego, but you know what I mean? I don't mean ego. I don't mean like bravado. Like, it's hard. It's hard to hear somebody say, I think you missed that, right? Like, try this, or you know what? It doesn't have a lot of energy, right? It's hard to hear those things when we have put our best effort forth and somebody else hears it and goes, yeah, that didn't quite hit. And you go, what? It didn't? So I just want to say you have to sort of be willing to be vulnerable, right? And to receive the constructive criticism and to offer criticism constructively and sensitively, right? So find someone with whom you really are a peer. That doesn't mean that you have to have been in the business for the same amount of time. or anything like that. Like Danny States and I met up for a year or so, and we just exchanged our auditions on a website, right? I've been doing voiceover 3 times as long as Danny States. Danny States had plenty to offer me, right? She knows what she knows. I know what I know. And so we were able to, offer each other something. So that's a whole feel and a vibe thing, like, so you just have to make sure that you are with someone that can offer you something. And then you have to be courageous enough to recognize that you actually have something to offer, right? Um, yes. So, let's see. Shauna, you're offering such great information about groups. Yeah, VO Pro Group voiceover training. Yes, Stefan Kornikart's group is really great. There are a lot of good groups out there on Facebook. Let's see. Let's see. X sessions. Yes, their X sessions are really good if you know who you want. It's small. Oh, who you want small group training from. Yes, and it is easy to get overwhelmed. And that's why I think you have to go to conferences a couple of times, right? Because the first time you go to a conference, I think you're going to be overwhelmed. That's how it is, right? But just take small bites. Take small bites. You're not going to get everything in one conference. It's not going to happen, right? Um, okay, let's see. Let's see. I think that's all I have on this topic. Um, let's see. Yes, I love Danny too. Let's see if I've got other stuff. Shauna, thank you so much for chiming in and getting your bringing your perspective. I really really appreciate it. And those of you who are watching this um, after the live, please feel free to comment. Just because you didn't watch it live doesn't mean that people aren't looking at it, right? And reading the comments and stuff. So please do offer. Again, I only know what I know. Um, and I do know that there are, again, more people who know lots about gear and lots about studios and people who know how to do those things economically, right? Let me tell you about my studio and then I'll let you go, right? Like I just bought this townhome in October. And part of the reason I bought it, why it was attractive to me, is that the primary bedroom had two walk-in closets. Like, whoa, that's awesome. And so I could use one closet for myself, my clothes and my shoes and closet things, and the other closet I dedicated as a studio. It is my studio. There are no clothes hanging in that in that closet. It's just my studio. So it's in a great part of the house. It's in the center of the house. It's quiet. It's great. So there's a lot of sort of natural insulation by virtue of the fact that it is in the center of the house. So I didn't need soundproofing. I just needed sound treatment, right? And so I got from what's it called? What's the website? Vocal Booth to Go. I think is where I got it. Vocal Booth to Go. So they have studio stuff. They have stuff if you're putting together your studio, and they have these. They're just panels. They're oh my gosh, they're not foam panels. What the hell are they? Like I'm swearing so much. They're super lightweight, and you just put them up with T-pins. That's all I needed. So they're on my walls and they're on my ceiling, and that's it. Like there was no schmancy stuff. That probably cost me less than $200 to get my room sound treated. That's it. I think the other thing I bought was one of those fantastic. It's like a door sleeve. It goes over the door, to your booth, and it covers the seams of the door and stuff. So it really adds a layer of soundproofing that is just awesome. So throw that in. That was probably $100, right? So in terms of putting together a studio, that's pretty cheap. Pretty cheap, right? I could have gone all out and put in a subfloor and done blah blah. I didn't need to. It's all good. So I know that there are lots of people out there who know that kind of stuff too. So again, I think that's all a part of getting connected. So there you go. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with you, Shauna. Groups over 10,000. I don't know 10,000 really well informed voice actors. 500 to 1,000, maybe 2,000. Um, there are some good ones out there. So let's see. Oh yeah, voiceover mamas is great. Is great if you have kids. It really, really is. That's that's it's so essential, man. When you have children and you're trying to figure out this voiceover career, you really want to know you're not alone. So that is a good one. Um, let's see. VOpreneur is also Mark Scott. VOpreneur is an excellent group, I think. Yes. So we're all on the same wavelength here, Shauna. Excellent. Um, okay, so I am going to let you go, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. There are going to be a few changes coming up to this group. We're just moving some things around a little bit. I'm going to be asking you some questions about things that you want and need from me. And I think we're going to probably change the day of the lives, move them to another day. But I'm going to put out a poll to see what works best for people. So that's all in an effort to just kind of keep things moving and keep things interesting and lively and all that good stuff. So keep an eye out. And in the meantime, again, I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of the week and weekend. And let me know if you need anything. All right. Have a good one. Thanks so much for your input. And I will see you soon. Ciao.